Good. Great. Okay, so I guess the first question I have is, how old were you when you started playing the violin, and what made you start?
Well, I started, I think, in the 5th grade. Okay. There was every year they take us over to high school and weekend year. It was a lady came from New York, and the schools were segregated then.
Right.
But she happened to play the violin. They hired her as the choir director, and she was a violinist. So she started an orchestra in the elementary school, and I have 2 brothers. One was a professional drummer. He's up in Rochester. I have another brother who retired. He was a musician, taught violin and things down in Alabama. But anyway, this lady loved soul food. So she would come by our house, and my grandmother would trade soul food, but she'd give us free lunch. And I also played in the band. I played French horn and trumpet in the band all the way through high school and college, too. So I learned to play the violin.
Wow.
And that's how I got started.
And what, if you don't mind my asking, you don't have to answer, but if you don't mind my asking, what year was this? Say again? I said, you don't have to answer if you don't want, but if you don't mind, what year was this?
Oh, that was in 1936, 7, 8, 9, 40, 41. 1941 or 42.
Got it. Okay.
36, 7, 8, 9, 40, 41. 1941.
Right. And the lady she was a white lady or a black lady, and she had come down from New York?
Yeah, everything was segregated. It was black.
She was black. Wow. Do you remember her name?
She was black. She was from New York.
Do you remember her name?
Yeah, her name was, her last name was Miss Brown. I can't think of her name, her first name now.
Okay. And what, if you don't mind my asking, you don't have to answer, but if you don't mind my asking, what year was this? Say again? I said, you don't have to answer if you don't want, but if you don't mind, what year was this?
Oh, that was in 1936, 7, 8, 9, 40, 41. 1941 or 42.
Got it. Okay.
36, 7, 8, 9, 40, 41. 1941.
Right. And the lady she was a white lady or a black lady, and she had come down from New York?
Yeah, everything was segregated. It was black.
She was black. Wow. Do you remember her name?
She was black. She was from New York.
Do you remember her name?
Yeah, her name was, her last name was Miss Brown. I can't think of her name, her first name now. Okay. 1963, I went on an audition for the Charlotte Symphony. They didn't want to let us in. They had another guy named Sam Davis.
Yeah.
Samuel Davis. We got in together. They didn't want to let us in, but there were 2 Jewish fellows there. His name Sam Citron and William Green. They told the conductor and the rest of those people, if they didn't let us in, they weren't going to place.
Wow.
They let us in.
Wow. And that was 1963?
That was 1963.
Wow.
And I played for 10 years. And when the symphony was full time, the blacks had to stop. Dr. Davis had to stop because the symphony wasn't playing enough for us to quit our jobs. And they were rehearsing. They stopped rehearsing at night, and they started rehearsing in the daytime, morning. So we had to quit.
Really?
Then I played the Savannah Symphony, the Asheville Symphony, the Western Piedmont Symphony.
That's where I met you.
The Roanoke Symphony, the Augusta Symphony.
Salisbury.
All around up and down the East Coast.
Salisbury. Salisbury.
I played in Salisbury. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's when we were carpooling.
I'm one of the founding members of the Salisbury Symphony. I'm the only one left.
Are you the last one? That's amazing.
My wife is named Dorothy. Yeah.
That's amazing. What was it like for you at Cincinnati with the other students? Did you have issues with faculty or?
It was. Nobody wanted to be the whites anymore. They they stayed there separate. There was a black girl there, and she wasn't acting black. She was going to a prom they had or some dance or something, and a white fellow was supposed to pick her up and stood her up at home in her evening dress. They didn't come. I didn't go. When my last class was over, there were only about 4 black kids there, and when they left, you didn't see them anymore. It wasn't. They just let us in because I don't know about it. They just let us in.
Yeah. Wow. And did you ever have to deal with discrimination from the administration there?
I didn't deal with any discrimination. No more than, you
what's
went to
normal.
class and that was it.
Yeah.
And nobody said you couldn't come in here, nothing like that.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, but you were there. Everybody was nice, but they kept to themselves.
Right.
They passed by you and say something like that. But sometimes they didn't speak, they would pass by you, but nobody bothered you, anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Well, I mean, this is all, now that everybody seems to care all of a sudden, people want to hear stories like this. And I think that it's really important because they're having to be held to account. The institution is. Yeah. Now's the time. So your voice is more important than ever.
But you young black kids now, they say it's open, but things are limited to you. You see these orchestras and all these places. I talked to Sanford Allen.
Yeah.
And they let him in the New York Philharmonic. He said he told me that they kept him in the back, never would move him.
Right.
And they told him to keep auditioning. So he kept auditioning. They never moved him. So what he said, he quit. That's why Sanford, he told me himself, that's why he quit.
Yeah.
The New York Philharmonic.
Yeah.
And these orchestras, you young black kids, I hate to say this, you can stand on your heads and play. They're not gonna let you in.
Yeah.
They keep one or two, and they will let you play part time to fill in if somebody's sick or something like that. Those major orchestras are white, male, and they still play the old European music.
Yep.
And it's dead.
Yep. Exactly.
It's dead. And so now you are competing with the Asian kids. If two of you audition, you could play service around that kid, but they're going to get the job.
Oh, definitely. I live that.
Because they're not going to let you in.
Yep.
Yeah, so what you do, most of the kids around New York, Chicago, the major cities, it's freelance stuff all the time. It's freelance, but I'm not talking about you personally, but when you get 60, 65, 70 years old, when it's time to hang it up, if you do not have something to fall back on, you spent, and when I say you, I'm not talking about you.
Yeah,
you
I
spent
understand.
your whole life with a whole lot of credits. I played here, I did this in the same house. They saved their money to float around all during the summer to audition for these major orchestras, and they never got in.
Yep.
Yeah, never got. Now, years ago, I think in the early to late 60s, I got letters from the New York Philharmonic, the Boston Symphony, Chicago Symphony, wanted me to go some training orchestra. If I had gone, I would have still been in those training orchestras.
Yep.
It's not.
I hate them.
Right.
I hate them. They're so demeaning.
Right. You can play like crazy, but they are not going to let you in.
No.
I talked to Booker Road in Philadelphia. Booker said that for every seat that was vacant, they had have these auditions across the city right thing, they already know who they're going to hire for that job.
Right.
When you go behind those screens and play, they know who's behind there. They can tell some of those stuff that they were talking. They can tell the sound. They can tell when you walk on that mat whether you're male or female. So they start putting the mat down to see so you wouldn't know whether male or female. Then they had cameras in the ceiling.
Yep. Know about those.
So they know. No, it's a fighting battle. I talked to Ben Chambers, who was the head of the NAACP one time. He told me they've been fighting it, but he said it's very difficult.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that NAACP was even involved with the orchestra and helping us. I had no idea.
Oh, yeah, that's been years ago. When he was president of NAACP, Ben Chambers. See, Ben married a friend of mine, Davenport, who was the band director down the road. With Charlotte and John C. Smith. Well, anyway, I would, see Ben would come down and see his sister, and I'd talk to Ben. Ben wanted me to keep in contact with me because I told him I was doing some things. He said it's very difficult. And he was in Chicago then. So I don't know if Chicago has anybody yet or not.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think maybe one. I'm not sure.
Yeah, Atlanta had one at one time. He was a trombone player.
Yeah.
And Atlanta is a black city.
Right.
It didn't have a black city symphony.
Right. Baltimore's like that too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I went over to South Africa to do some teaching for a couple weeks years ago, and South Africa disbanded the symphony.
Yeah.
And they organized it, and they have to have so many blacks or so many something like that.
Mm-hmm. Is this Johannesburg?
Yeah, I went to Pretoria and with Miss Holmes and her son.
Oh, okay.
And we stayed over 10, 12 days in between there and down in Soweto and working with the kids. The first morning we walked in Austin, Pretoria, they had about 100 kids in the office. A white guy and his wife were the conductors, teaching and everything. Mm-hmm. Those kids were playing. Yeah.
I really want to do that because I have some friends who run programs in Johannesburg and Cape Town, and so I'm working on trying to set up some sort of connection between the two. So that makes me really happy to hear that you did that, and especially in Soweto. I mean, like, I can't imagine how powerful it was to actually just see that there.
Mhm. Well, you just have to keep working. But let's say something else. You kids in New York and around, a lot of them they won't leave the city. Their jobs are, at universities and things, but they like the bright lights and places like that.
Yeah.
But now you pass this on to them. If they are freelancing, they better find some way to hide some money for later.
Yes.
Because it will end. It will end. And so they don't want to be out at 75, 80 years trying to go out and compete with those young kids who come out of China, who coming out of South Korea, who can stand on their heads. I was watching, somebody told me to look at something on Facebook. A little young girl, about 5 or 6 years old, playing the Paganini number 1. How can you compete with that?
That's ridiculous. You can't. There's no competing with that.
That's right. And
so, well, I mean, you kind of went into it already. If you had advice for today's youth,
you see, when slavery was going on, the black kids, the slaves, learned to play the piano because they had to they went to the lessons with the kids. They go on and develop our own music. We developed that music. popular music and jazz, all those sort of things. And blacks controlled Kingpin and in New York at one time. But it got so they when the Jews started coming in, they kicked us out the buildings, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So we had no place to go. No place to go. But until you demand that they have a musician, black performers, like the Charlotte Symphony.
Yeah.
You kids should be coming in as guests out. This orchestra is not that good when they can't bring in you black kids as artists.
Period.
Yeah, Salisbury have been bringing in.
Right.
And I had a meeting with the conductor of the Hickory Symphony and told him that they must bring in black musicians. He started he brought, what's the girl's name?
Kelly?
In New York. What's the name?
Kelly? Yeah.
Brought in Roy Eden. And brought in some more people. Marty came in one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they won't hire because black people don't put an emphasis on it. Now, if they would go to these sponsors, like these automobile dealerships, stand back and say, we buy Buicks, we buy Cadillacs. Why don't you demand that when you put the money in there, they bring some black artists in here?
Period. Yeah.
Now, if they would go to these sponsors, like these automobile dealerships, stand back and say, we buy Buicks, we buy Cadillacs. Why don't you demand that when you put the money in there, they bring some black artists in here?
Period. Yeah.
It would start snowballing, but it will not survive with you playing Beethoven.
Right.
And Brahms.
It's true.
Those kids could care less about Beethoven and Brahms. Now, up at Salisbury, and when you played it up with Hickory on the Leroy Sellers campus, that place had some people in it, 200 or 300 people. No kids from the college on that campus came to those concerts.
That's true. That's very true.
And the conductors the white guys are so wrapped up with Beethoven and Brahms, all that sort of stuff. They're waving that stick, people that saw nobody in the audience. Up in Salisbury, most of the people who come to that concert are from the nursing home.
Yeah.
They roll them in there from the nursing home.
Yep. Yeah.
And see, you take cities like Chicago, New York, Philadelphia, where they got 15 million people in the city, you can fill up a hall with 2,500 people in it.
Yeah.
That's no problem. The symphony orchestra in New York and places like that, they will survive because the cities are so big.
Right.
But the other thing, the only reason where black kids and Hispanics are going to grow in these symphonies is when they start taking the salaries away and reducing all the salaries those people, and they can't get a job, they'll stop. And then keep the music going, they'll hire blacks and Hispanics at a third of what they pay those white people.
That's, sublists. Yeah.
You what?
Yeah, you're right.
I'm going to bet you, when you play on these shows, if there's a white musician playing on one of the tonight shows, you play inside it, I am willing to bet you that white person got more money than you did.
Well, now, that's one thing I can say, Mr. Sellers, with confidence. That is one thing that does not happen in New York. And it certainly doesn't happen on any gig that I work, which is part of the reason why I got into contracting. So I could get up in there and break that pattern. And I have a few colleagues who are around my age, other women, black women, who are killing it the same way. Just literally saying, absolutely not. Everybody makes the same. The end. Get it in the union. Get it in concrete. Whatever we have to do. So that I will say that has gotten better.
Okay, so you've been working on it.
Yeah, hard.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah, they're sick of us. They are sick of us.
Because I know it happens in this area with the union or not.
Yeah.
But see, the union is not that strong here.
No. I mean,
the union is not strong, so they get away with that stuff up here. Because I knew I was going down to Savannah to play. Mm-hmm. I was making more money than those white people were making.
Wow.
So I told them I wasn't coming unless they paid me.
Yeah.
And I was making $25 more per concert, and they were making that was a lot of money back then.
Yeah. They get away with that in the orchestra scene, I feel like, a lot more than for like the TV stuff. Let's see.
When the virus is over, when you come to town to see your parents, give me a call.
I will definitely do that. I will definitely do that.
And then me and Sullivan can get together. He'd love to see you.
Oh my God, yeah. It's been so long. How's he doing?
He's doing great.
Do you mind do you mind sending me his number? I'll call him too. I love to interview him as well if he'd be open to it.
Do I mind sending you a number?
Yes. Do you mind sending me Sullivan's number?
Oh yeah, I'll text it to you.
Okay.
I got some more information. There's a violin maker, right?
You know, I played for this latest Lion King movie release.
Right.
And the orchestra was like 60% black. And that was a choice made by Hans Zimmer. And the atmosphere in the studio, because we recorded for 2 weeks, was so tense. And for the first week, you could tell they were just thrown off. They were just completely thrown off their game and in a state of quiet panic because we came in and we were playing well. And we came in and we were dressed sharp. And it was just unapologetic. This will be diversified right now. And it was one of the most amazing experiences because I have largely experienced everything that you just said for the most part, which is another reason why I take contracting so seriously, because that means I have a say in choosing us. And I can look at the white person next to my guy and say, you're coming in at 50%. I need people who are in at 100. And I can say, you have to go home. And just the option is empowering for us. And I feel like it sets a new standard. And I think, and I've always said, and I've always been the bad guy for saying this, but I've always said exactly what you just said. White people have historically just walked in and taken what they've wanted and have not apologized for that. So we should not wait.
Right.
Just do it.
Right.
The Republican Party does this daily. That's how we got Trump. They just barge in and do not apologize, and everybody else has to deal with it. And
that's right.
That's where my generation is. So it's good.
Trump has empowered those people that do that stuff. He's empowered them.
Yeah, it's true.
And so you got to fight it. You fight in the music, and then you fight in those white folks.
Yeah.
And it I hate to say this, it's not gonna get it that much better.
No.
They'll tell you this, and the decisions like these symphony boards, they got blacks on there. When those black people go to those boards, the decisions have already been made before they get there.
Really?
Josh Hood called me the other day. You know, Josh plays bassoon in the Charlotte Symphony.
Yeah, I know him. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Josh called me the other day doing the same thing you're doing. They want my advice, want me some help, and setting up this committee and all this sort of stuff with the Charlotte Symphony and stuff like this. And I told him, I said, Josh, do You're not going to get any help from black people. You can't bring a lawyer on the board down there and do stuff. They're not going to do it. You need black musicians to sit on that board from the community and let them tell them what is happening.
Right.
See, that's how you're going to get, you're not going to get those guys. Why would they want to put a lawyer on the board? He goes down there, he's not going to do anything. He knows nothing about music. He's just on the board, and he's being dressed anyway. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, completely.
So, yeah, that got people calling me like they want me to give them advice and all that sort of stuff. And so I'm glad it's happening because the young kids like you're not afraid to take it back.
Right.
The only listen. I fought for this stuff now. I've been out here fighting for a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay, shoot me another one.
What did your parents think about your decision to be a violinist?
Musicians think my mom always liked music. She was take piano or something like that. She tried to play the piano. But my dad and my mom encouraged us, the first thing, to get an education and to be what we wanted to be. And they were fine with it. My dad just is proud of us being musicians and doing things. My dad, when we were in the band, my brother had two, we were doing marching things downtown around. My dad would leave his job to come downtown to watch us, and we'd go to concerts. They loved it. We played in the streets. And when the all-black community, we played in the street around the pole. During the summer, we were out playing at night. All this sort of stuff. People would give us money. We played all the time.
It's amazing.
And it's just a community. But see, you don't have that now.
No, we don't.
You have one black family lives right here beside two white. Then you may not have another black family, 4 or 5 streets over.
Yeah.
It's not, we've lost that community.
Yeah.
Which is good, but it's bad too because we don't have that close association with one another. Only time we get it, we go to church now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, my dad, they were fine with it. Supported us 100%.
That's wonderful. Yeah. Well, those are all my questions. I had a feeling. I had a feeling that we would talk a lot. We would have a lot of material for each one. So this is good.
Right.
This is good. This really helps me. I'm writing an article which I'll share with you. And yeah, this is amazing. I really appreciate it.
Well, young lady, thank you very, very much for asking me. I can express this to you and give you a little advice. But let me say, tell those other musicians there, like I said, when they work, they better take some and put it away because it won't last. They won't be young forever. And you tell them, they may go down to Saks and see that $1,000 dress. Tell them to let that $1,000 dress stay in there.
Yeah. And
go buy something else and put that money where later on they will thank you for telling them that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Because the music business right along in now is up in the air. Nobody knows where this stuff is going.
It's true.
It's like this virus.